Donald Trump is demanding that congressional Republicans basically threaten a government shutdown in order to obtain evidence of voter fraud or to do something about voter fraud that he has failed to provide any evidence of. Now, he posted this saying that if Republicans in the House and Senate don't get absolute assurances on election security, they should in no way, shape, or form go forward with a continuing resolution on the budget. The Democrats are trying to stuff voter registrations with illegal aliens. Don't let it happen, close it down. Okay, so this lie about undocumented immigrants voting in our presidential election, it is nonsense. And if Republicans were concerned about election security, they could have voted in favor of an election security bill immediately after the 2020 presidential election, but they didn't do that. Okay, they didn't vote in favor of that. So a curious thing to want Republicans to do, considering the fact that they had an opportunity to do it and they wouldn't do it. Now, last week, Trump had a similar message saying, I would shut down the government in a heartbeat if they don't get the SAVE Act. I'll tell you what that is in just a moment. It should be in the bill. And if it's not in the bill, you want to close it up. So I'm not there, but I have influence. We know you have influence. You managed to kill the immigration bill that passed in the Senate, or you prevented it from passing in Congress overall. And House Majority Leader Mike Johnson, who has basically tried to make Trump happy while still being able to do his job to some extent, did decide to take his lead, but the plan didn't work out like the way that he was hoping it would. So Johnson attempted to get a continuing resolution, or CR, passed, and that would basically keep the government funded for another 6 months. So it's not a more long-term solution, it's kind of a short-term solution. And I think a lot of members of Congress are sick of the continuing resolutions. For context, the government will shut down on October 1st unless some sort of deal is reached. Johnson attached a bill called the SAVE Act. This is what Donald Trump was pushing for. It's known as the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, to his continuing resolution bill, which would require voters to show proof of citizenship when registering to vote. But it's also worth noting that it's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. In most cases, you will need either a driver's license or a state ID to register to vote. You usually get these credentials by proving that you're an American citizen. Like, it is a redundant ask, a redundant amendment or provision in the government funding bill. And it's, again, already a felony for non-citizens to register to vote in federal elections, punishable by fines, prison, or deportation. Anyone registering must attest under penalty of perjury that they are a US citizen. But turns out that Johnson actually faced far too much opposition from within the Republican Party to get this continuing resolution passed. And he decided to withdraw it from the House that was scheduled to vote on this today. And so why doesn't Johnson have enough Republican votes? Well, some GOP lawmakers have raised objections to the length of the proposed stopgap deal. They're not happy about the fact that it would only be for 6 months, saying that it would undercut military preparedness, while others disdain short-term spending pacts on principle, saying Congress needs to complete all 12 annual appropriations bills rather than buying more time. And I actually agree with them on that wholeheartedly. So for now, it's kind of unknown what's going to happen, right? So Johnson faces this tricky balancing act, Jordan, as he attempts to juggle his responsibilities as the House Majority Leader, but also as he's trying to appease Donald Trump, who apparently scares the crap out of these congressional Republicans.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the party cannibalizing itself yet again. We've seen this time and time before. And you could also bring back Trump wanting to run on immigration. I think this is an extension of that through the SAVE Act, trying to make this bogus claim about undocumented people voting in elections a priority during a budget debate. He wants to bring this up. We just talked about it. He brought it up as often as he could during the debate, and now they're trying to do it here. I think people will be off put by that. And we've seen these types of situations backfire for Republicans before, when they're in control of a chamber or Congress and the government shuts down. People understandably look to them as the people in the party at fault. So you're going into an election, you have chaos in this party with warring factions over different kind of pet issues, and you're going to shut down the government because you can't get your party together and you're the party that wants to take control of the White House? Good luck. So I think Johnson is in an impossible position because you have, the fiscal hawks, you've got the immigration hawks, and then you just have Trump, who's a total wild card and outlier. Unenviable. I don't feel bad for him at all. Wish him nothing but the worst.
Agreed. Although I do want him to be effective at his job because it's important to pass a government funding bill. I mean, we're talking about a lot of government services that Americans rely on that would, at least temporarily, be closed off to them because they don't have the funding necessary to continue operating. I mean, everything from national parks to the education department, dealing with FAFSA. There's all sorts of things that would be impacted by the government shutting down. And typically, when that happens, the party that's standing in the way of funding the government suffers political consequences for doing so. And, I'm curious what you think about that bipartisan immigration bill or border bill, because I think that it's pretty well known among engaged voters that Trump killed that bill. And now here you have another example of him essentially putting his own campaign before the American people by meddling in what's happening in Congress. So do you think that this is going to backfire against Trump in this election?
Well, I don't know if I share your optimism that enough people or a critical mass of people understand his role in that. And I do think it was good that Harris brought that up last night. And if they continue to hammer that, explain it, lay it out, hey, we did this. As much as I don't even like that bill, I thought it was a little too harsh. And I think we're shifting the Overton window on immigration to the right. If that's how they want to do it, they want to say, okay, we'll play the game. Here you go. You kill it. They called his bluff on this. So continuing to sell that messaging as purely an electoral strategy, a campaign strategy, I think is good. I think you're right. Like this could backfire for him. But they need to continue to do. They need to stick to message discipline. They need to continue to educate voters on how that happened. So if they think it's something that will resonate with voters and will get people to the polls and support her as a result, then yeah, I think it's a great strategy.
I mean, I think that the effectiveness of the Democratic Party attaching Project 2025 to Donald Trump, which has been a pet peeve of mine because I do find it to be dishonest. Like they were effective in doing that. I think they could be just as effective in focusing on this. And there's actual meat on the bones here. Because think about it. This is something that is already impacting the American people, right? Because you have Congress paralyzed and unable to pass incredibly important legislation, including funding the government, because Donald Trump is meddling in that process to prevent the passage to help his own campaign. I mean, it's such a perfect example of the selfishness here, the self-interest here, and the willingness to put himself before the American people. So I think that they can do it. I really want them to message more effectively on this. And I think they've done an okay job so far. I'm actually surprised at how often I'll hear voters kind of speak out against what Trump did with the immigration bill. So I don't know how to quantify that. I haven't seen any polling on it, but it would be great if that backfires because it's not just about Trump. It's also about, future elections. I don't want this to embolden other candidates to meddle in, law. People are writing laws, passing laws, what Congress is up to in order to ensure that they can have like a pet issue that they can run on in the election. That's insane. There should be a little more independence here. And if they see that it might backfire, that could serve as a lesson, a warning sign, don't do this. But here we are. I don't know if they're going to be able to pass a government funding bill. I don't know if it's going to come in the form of a continuing resolution. One thing that I do know, and this is without a doubt, every year the same annoying fight happens. And we got to find a better way to do this.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.